Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel. Wellness is beautiful. My name is Linda. This is a channel where we discuss, demonstrate, and discover various ways for us to be well. On this particular video, I'm actually doing two things at once. I'm already in the process of baking 2 loaves of bread. I'm also making a hearty, healthy pot of beans mixed with lentils. So I'm going to explain a little bit about the bread now, but later on you will see a video totally dedicated to how I start with the bread using fresh grain to mill my flour. You'll see that from the beginning. So I'm just going to catch you up to where I am now. I actually was doing stretch and folds, allowing the gluten to develop in the dough. And then I'm going to place it into the proofing basket to let it rise for the first time. I've already had it sitting for an hour or two to let it take its first rise. So while that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and start chopping up my herbs and my vegetables that are going to be seasonings for my beans and lentils. So we're going to start with our heavier, more leafy vegetables, like our dandelion, our ginger root. And what I'm going to do is give you a list of these things, everything that's going into the soup, give you a list of those and the benefits that they have for the body. As you know, on this channel, that's what we're all about. We're being intentional on what we put in our bodies, what we cook, to make sure that at all times, whatever we're taking in is good for our gut, is good for our body. And we want to know particularly what those benefits are. So I'm going to start with the ginger root, turmeric, and garlic. With ginger root and garlic, I like putting those two together. I even use those two to make tea during the fall and winter when we're more apt to have issues with viruses and flus and things like that. So because these are both antiviral, antibacterial, they're good to fight off such things. So I like making those teas combined with a couple other things, like a dash of cayenne pepper, maybe even a little lemon, squeeze of lemon, and just having that tea. Of course, you're going to pour boiling water over that and let it steep for a bit. And you're just going to sip that, throughout the day. So doing that is going to have your body already prepared to fight off any issues with virus and things that you may come in contact with. So I like doing that at least twice a week and having my family do that as well. So that covers our ginger root and our garlic. Great combination to cook with, great combination to just have a simple tea with. Then we have our turmeric. Turmeric is also a great root vegetable. It is great for inflammation, and it's also great for fighting off autoimmune diseases. And you really don't know at whatever time your body may be experiencing inflammation inside the body and what may be happening to drive you toward having some type of autoimmune disease. So it's good to cook with these things. It's good to be in the habit of just always having that in your diet. That way you're preparing your immune system to already be on target to help you fight such things. So now let's talk about our fennel. I love fennel. I love the smell of fennel. It actually smells like licorice, but it has some great medicinal properties as well. It helps to modulate the immune system, and it's also known to be anti-cancer. So, in anything having to do with or help promoting our immune system is going to be good. You want to, as much as possible, get that in a routine of cooking with that, doing stir fries with it, putting it in all your soups, your vegetables, your greens, things like that. Even your salad, it's a good flavor. But the idea of knowing that you are intentionally doing things and giving your body things to help it fight is a great habit to have. Okay, so now let's move on to our onions. Onions, we know, help to modulate the immune system also. It is anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. Great to have in your cooking as well. Great to Just be in the habit of whenever you can add onions, whether they be the purple onions, the white onions, yellow onions. Get those onions in your lineup, whenever you're cooking. They're great to help the immune system. Anytime you can help that immune system, do so. Next, we have our wonderful dandelion. Dandelion is absolutely fantastic for the liver and for blood tonic. It's also good for acne, eczema, and digestion. So remember that. Keep that in your lineup. Whenever you can use whenever you can use dandelion, do so. Also, like just making a dandelion tea, where I take the fresh dandelion, steep it, and even when you're cooking, like now I'm going to be using more just the leafy part, but I can take those stems because it still have all those good properties in the stems. I'll take those stems and put them in a quart-sized jar and pour steeping hot water over that, place it in the refrigerator, and I'll actually just sip that for a couple days. And it's great, as I said, for the liver, and it's a great blood tonic. Absolutely wonderful. I like the taste of it also. And now that brings us to parsley. I love cooking with parsley. Parsley is one of those things that I actually grow in my garden, my herbal garden. Parsley is great for asthma, allergies, helps to fight free radicals, and it's also good for the gallbladder. So make a note of that. I know a lot of people have issues with gallstones. So placing this, in your diet, stir fries again, soups, salads, even your smoothies, drop a few leaves of parsley in that to help, give a different variety in your smoothie, also being beneficial to the body. Next, I'm going to talk about I actually make what I call a herbal bouquet. Herbal bouquet, normally what I use in that is my rosemary, my basil, and my thyme. And you'll see I'm actually going to take my cooking twine or cooking thread and wrap those three herbs up and into what looks like a little bouquet. And normally I make at least two of those, two bouquets, sometimes more than that, depending on what I'm cooking and how much I'm cooking. But you will be amazed how much flavor is gonna come from those herbs combined with all the other vegetables and herbs that you've already cut up to put in there. So rosemary is great for inflammation. It's great for memory, and it tastes good. It gives a good flavor, as I said. This is also one of the herbs that I grow abundantly in my herbal garden. Very easy to grow. The next one is basil, which is also very easy to grow. The beneficial properties of that is helps with the nervous system, helps with respiratory, digestion, and sinus congestions. I know a lot of people deal with sinuses at different times of the year. So if you'll get in the habit of cooking with basil, even drop some basil in one of your smoothies with spinach and things like that, maybe an apple or whatever. Just get in the habit of dropping these things in different recipes and different things that you're cooking. If you know you're having issue with any of these things that I named, like digestion, sinus issues, respiratory, make it a habit of knowing what these things will do and grab those things when you're going through a challenge, and you'll be surprised how much that begin to change things. But you want to get in the habit of cooking with these things, even if you're not having, that challenge at the moment. If you give the body what it needs before it needs it, then you're more apt to fight and not have to struggle as much with those issues. The third thing that I put in my bouquet is thyme. And thyme gives it great flavor, and it's also a great antioxidant. Now, all of these vegetables and herbs, they're going to come together. I actually have two pots. One pot is holding my beans, and with my beans, I actually soak them overnight, and I will actually boil them twice, bring them to a boil twice, and pour that water off, and that's getting off the dirt, which causes that gas that sometimes people have from eating beans. So I'll cook those beans, like I said, at least twice, sometimes three times, depending on the beans. Some beans are dirtier than others. So you be the judge of that. When that water rings clear and that foam stop coming up, then it's clear. So then you'll, for the third time, boil them again. And when they're almost at the texture that you want them soft, then you'll go ahead and add in your lentils. You don't have to add lentils. That's just something I like to add. The lentils and the baby limas are both alkaline, so I just like putting them together, just getting all the benefits of both of those. So I cook them, bring them to a slow boil, letting them cook while I'm preparing and simmering my vegetables in my herb pot. In my herb pot, I actually start with, I'm going to say maybe a quarter cup of coconut oil, which is a good fat. And you're going to place that coconut oil in the bottom of your pot. And then you'll begin to, bit by bit, add in your vegetables and herbs that you're cutting up. And you allow them to slowly simmer together and letting them come together and make a beautiful smelling and flavorful symphony together. And I even add, which I don't know if you saw this or not in the video, but I'm even adding some sun-dried tomatoes. Great flavor. Sun-dried tomatoes are really good to bring good flavor. I use wakame, which is a seaweed. I love the flavor of that and the benefits of that as well. Great minerals in the seaweed. I also will use, I'm trying to see something that you didn't show on the video. So all these things are coming together, the sun-dried tomatoes, the seaweed, the other vegetables that you see me cutting up, all things are going to come together, and you can just see them melt into one thing. And then even that smell, nothing is going to override the other. You'll smell the onions melt into the turmeric and the garlic, and even the other vegetables that you'll see me cut up, even adding them on top, the dandelion, the parsley, and the bouquets, and the, I think, I don't know if I did celery in this or not. Normally I add celery just because celery has great healing properties, great for your kidneys. So you want to add that. And you want to think about any vegetable that you like the flavor of and you know it has great benefits, you want to go ahead and add that in that pot. So the time that you allow for those beans to slow boil and the time that is used to make sure that you're putting in all the vegetables that have those good properties, letting them come together and simmer. You want to kind of let those things come together at the same time. Save time in the kitchen, and that way you're not waiting one to be done way before the other. Okay. So, and as you do this, you'll be able to time it better, or you can just, sometimes depending on what I'm doing in the kitchen, I will go ahead first thing in the morning, chop up my vegetables and my herbs, and go ahead and do my simmering, and just set it aside until my beans are ready. Maybe I forgot to soak my beans overnight, and I'm having to wait for them to, soak a little bit. So whatever, it doesn't matter. So as I get those chopped up, I'm going to put everything in my flavor pot. That's what I call it, because in the past, years past, a lot of times we cooked with meat to give our vegetables and our beans flavor. Well, you no longer have to do that. And sometimes, depending on what your health is, it's not beneficial to always add meat. So this will give you the flavor benefit. This will give you the wellness that you need from what you're cooking by doing it this way. Really, really enjoy this. So also want to talk about the other seasonings that I add, my dried seasonings. And I forgot to mention my bay leaves. I love cooking with bay leaves, great flavor. I always put them almost first in the pot, along with the sun-dried tomatoes and the wakame, the seaweed. I put them in there first because their flavors are pretty strong, and I want them to rise up throughout everything else that I put in there thereafter. So after I get those things, those two pots going at the rate, I'm going to go ahead. It should be now time for my bread to be placed in the oven. As I said, I have two loaves, one larger than the other, so I've divided them such they are now getting their second rise in the proofing bowl. So I'm going to get them into the oven. I normally bake at 375, sometime depending on the ingredients that I've placed in my bread dough. If it's more liquid, depending on the recipe, then I may bring it down a little bit because I want to give that bread time to cook all the way inside. So average time for baking loaves of bread is going to be 375, but there are some when you're making the round bread, then you can even take it even higher. But I would say get used to that. I would say start at 375 and get used to it because all ovens are different. So get used to that lower temperature because you'd rather undercook so you can cook it more rather than overcook and it's too late. So getting everything synchronized with my beans, I'm now going to go ahead and get my bread in the oven. What I'm going to do is take it out of the proofing basket, place them in the loaf pan. Actually, all my loaf pans that I use, they are non-stick. Sometimes, though, I will just take precaution just in case and spray with a little olive oil or avocado oil on the bottom of the pan. Or I will even take my parchment paper and let it lie on that, and that will take care of it not sticking. So I'm going to actually sprinkle just a little flour on both the loaves, and I'm going to do what they call score. And that scoring is to allow ventilation in the bread so it doesn't crack or burst open just anywhere. You will designate by scoring where you want that ventilation to escape through. So after doing that, I'm going to place it in the hot oven, preheated oven at 375. And on the average in my oven, I usually let those cook for about 45 minutes. But to make sure that it's done, you want to use your cooking thermometer and place that thermometer right in the center of the bread to make sure that it has reached at least 200 degrees, 2 to 205, somewhere in there. And you can even tell once you stick that thermometer in there, if it comes out wet or damp, then you know it's not ready. I have two size loaves, so that smaller loaf is actually going to be ready before the larger one. So you want to think about those things. So I am placing that in the oven, and then we're going to come back and give you the results of both the bread and the beans. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back. We are now about to conclude our series today featuring our beans with lentils, specifically baby lima beans and lentils, which are both alkaline, which means the body can process and digest it quickly. We also had two loaves of bread in the oven that's been taken out. Took a little bit longer because I actually put the cover on the larger loaf, so it took a little bit longer to finish baking. So the beans and the lentils are finished. I just kept them simmering on the stove a little bit. We'll do a taste test, which I actually did already, and saw that I didn't need to add anything else. The process where we left off before, the vegetables and herbs were still processing, in the smaller pot, and I let them cook together so that they would, form a great symphony, melt together and become just one tune. Then I placed them in the larger pot where the beans and lentils were cooking. So they probably cooked together for maybe like 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes. And now they are exactly where I need them to be. The beans and lentils are softened. Usually what I do is to make sure that I don't need to add any other ingredients for taste. I take my little small test cup and make sure that it's the taste that I'm looking for. You want to taste the blendedness of all the herbs and vegetables come together. You don't want one thing to stand out over the other. You don't want the turmeric, which can be strong. You don't want that to stand out. You don't want the peppers to be overpowering. You want them to all to come together and be one. So that's actually what has happened. So it's just one smooth flavor. You can taste the flavor that comes from the beans and lentils, and you can just feel the herbs, topple over that and give it even a greater flavor. And what I did add after I put them all together was my dry seasonings, which is garlic salt, garlic and herb, Italian seasoning, fennel, rosemary, celery salt, and of course the sea salt, Celtic sea salt. And you add those things in, of course, according to your flavor, your taste. Those are actually the dry herbs that I normally use for almost all of my beans and soups. A little variation depending on what the main soup is. So then we have our bread, which actually have the two loaves. We have the large loaf and the smaller loaf. I let them sit for at least 2 hours before I slice them, because after you take them out of the oven, they're still baking, still cooking, and coming to the consistency that you want that bread to be. So I will slice this in a couple hours, but as you can see, it came out really, really good. This is, again, using the fresh grain to get my flour. And in another video, I'm actually going to just talk about making the bread, how we process this bread, starting with the fresh grain and making it into the flour. Why even do that? Why do fresh grain as opposed to using flour from the store? We'll talk about all of that. And of course, this is leading to being well, being healthy. That's taking the healthy route. And like I said, we'll talk about that process so it's not overwhelming. So that does conclude the two things that we had going today. I just wanted to bring you in. I saw an opportunity. I knew that yesterday I put my beans in soak and actually cooked them and had them in the refrigerator overnight. And so I knew I was going to be doing these two things today, the beans and the, so why not do a video and show the people? So hopefully this has given you some ideas, what you can do, get started, and cause you to look forward to more videos coming. Main thing that I want to do on this channel, we're talking about wellness. We're talking about having a life without disease. So all these videos that I will feature, everything that we're going to discuss and demonstrate is giving you information that will lead you to that and teach you how to get there. I'm not, of course, a doctor. I'm a licensed nutritionist, or a certified nutritionist rather. And more than that, I just have a heart and a passion for people not to be sick. So that's what this channel is all about, giving you information, insight that I have researched over the past 5+ years. 5 years intensively, but even before that, I've always been concerned about people being well. So with this channel, I want you to continue to stay tuned and getting different ideas, different recipes, watching the demonstrations, discussions. We're actually going to be doing more discussions later on as we get more into the videos. So be able to answer questions that I have coming from people that I already know. I'll be able to answer them on the videos, and just to get you in tune, get you that desire, and show you how simple it is. For one thing, the hardest thing is to make a decision to do something different. I think that's the hardest challenge. There's nothing complicated about making a pot of beans, really nothing complicated about making a loaf of bread. There are changes that you'll have to adapt to, I believe, to make it more healthy, to make bread more digestible, make it better for the body, and we'll get to that. We'll do it step by step. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. Hopefully you've gotten some insight and information. Stay tuned for our next videos that will be coming up. We're trying to do at least one video a week, and hopefully we're successful in that. And until then, to the next video, I need you to be well.